Welcome back, America. I'm back with my governor, America's governor, the governor of Florida, Ron DeSantis, who's doing a fantastic job. Governor DeSantis, welcome. Governor Newsom, some people are saying, wow, he's really found his niche here with his memes on the internet and so forth and so on. Isn't this guy a complete loser?
Well, Mark, you've been very kind in your words about Florida, and people will say, man, you guys are really getting it done. What's the secret sauce? And I say, I actually do have a cheat code to be governor of Florida. I just look at what California and Illinois and New York, but particularly California, I look what they're doing, and I just do the opposite. And that works out very well. They allow homeless to take over major cities. We don't do that in Florida. They are a sanctuary state. They give illegal aliens benefits and invite them in. We do the opposite. They issued a commercial driver's license to an illegal alien who didn't speak English, worked for a California company, and he ended up killing 3 people in Florida recently, and we're now holding him accountable. But their policies are not only been bad for California, they are spilling over into other states and has been very, very destructive. Mark, of all the places I've been in the United States, the natural advantages and beauty of California is probably unmatched. They have great weather. They've got all kinds of stuff, and yet they're losing population. And they're losing population because of the leftist agenda and leftist ideology. And him getting cheeky on social media, him trying to take pot shots at President Trump and spending his time doing that. Meanwhile, how's the recovery going from the wildfires in Southern California? People can't even rebuild their homes. I can tell you in Florida, when we had a Category 5 Hurricane Ian come through a few years ago, we had a bridge knocked out, totally knocked out. We rebuilt it in 3 days. We rebuilt the Sanibel Causeway in 3 weeks that had been broken in 3 different spots. So it's a totally different view of what your role is as a leader. Our role is we got to get things done. We're applying tried and true conservative principles to do it. He obviously is on the left. They're doing leftist ideology, but it's this substance takes a back seat to this show that they're trying to put on. And, I think what he's doing to try to attack President Trump, I don't think is landing with the broader electorate, but I think it's definitely negative when you consider that he is not taking care of business in his home state.
And Governor, when you consider how bad it is in California, I lived there briefly in California, and I lived there when they had a great governor, Pete Wilson. And when you think Ronald Reagan was the governor of that state, and I don't know about you, but when I was growing up in Philadelphia, people would always talk about California. You want to make something of yourself, go to California. It's the state of opportunity. There's freedom in California. There are great Republican governors and so forth and so on. Now it's like, how the hell do we get out of here? Do I go to Florida? Do I go to Tennessee? Do I go to Nevada? And that's what's happening. So people speak with their feet. Now, speaking of that, this gerrymandering issue. Gerrymandering is left to the states primarily, unless there's a violation of the Civil Rights Act. Okay, there are very few violations of the Civil Rights Act these days. I mean, it's not the 1940s or 50s. And although I have to say, in California, they do believe in nullification in the Confederate way when it comes to sanctuary cities. But that aside, you're going to take a look at your state. Do I understand that correctly, given what's been taking place?
Oh, yeah, no, absolutely, Mark. And first, just let me say, when I was a naval officer, I got stationed to Naval Amphibious Base Coronado in Southern California. And for a Florida kid to show up at a place where the weather's so nice, you don't need air conditioning in the summer, you don't need screens on the windows because there's no bugs. I mean, I was like, amazing. And I'll never forget landing back in Coronado after serving in Iraq. And it was like so fresh and so amazing. And I'm just thinking to myself, man, if they had better politics, this would be a great place. And it's only gotten worse. Now, on the congressional map, Florida has been growing. It's been growing a lot since I've been governor. But even before that, it was adding population, not at the same rate. And we got shortchanged in the last census. We should have had 2 or 3 seats. We only got 1 seat, and that was really the Biden administration's doing. So we are working with the Attorney General in Florida, James Uthmeyer, to talk to the Commerce Department. He's written a letter Even Biden's administration a couple years after acknowledged Florida got shortchanged. So we're asking them to redo that as best they can, award us another seat. That would obviously trigger us have to do a new map if we went from 28 to 29 or even to 30. So that's one possibility. The next possibility is the U.S. Supreme Court is considering whether you can use race in drawing congressional districts. Now, the Voting Rights Act has been interpreted to say you have to have some of these race-based districts. We actually have a couple in Florida. And if the Supreme Court rules that that actually is unconstitutional, which I believe they should, that would necessitate us to have to go back and do it. But even short of those two things, if you look at Florida's population growth, we don't have adequate fair representations as the districts currently are. So that one way or another, Florida will, and it won't happen now, it'll happen in the spring. You know, we have a late primary, so it'll happen in the spring, and the legislature, I fully anticipate, will produce a revised congressional map, maybe with 29 seats, maybe with the current 28, maybe with the VRA district, maybe eliminating that. But right now, we definitely need to do some reform.
Hey, Sean Hannity here. Hey, click here to subscribe to Fox News YouTube page and catch our hottest interviews and most compelling analysis. You will not get it anywhere else.